You mentioned New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. This is someone you've covered for 20 years. I think a lot of people became introduced to him based on his early coronavirus press conferences, for which he was praised for maybe being a little bit more straight-talking than the president. Are you surprised now at the place he's in? Obviously, we're hearing a lot about him covering up the count of exactly how many people passed away in nursing homes, as well as allegations of sexual harassment.
Well, look, I'm always surprised when politicians behave inappropriately or stupidly, but no, not particularly. I mean, anybody who's been familiar with Andrew Cuomo is familiar with the fact that, well, first of all, when it comes to accusations of him being abrasive or bullying, that's just been his way the whole time I've been aware of him. And I remember in 2002 covering his gubernatorial run, he withdrew before he would have been shellacked in the Democratic primary by Carl McCall, who went on to get the nomination and then lose to Governor Pataki. And I don't know that he would remember. He was Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development during the Clinton administration. I'm not sure that anybody else from the Clinton administration endorsed him, even though he had worked in the Clinton administration. And look, he has had a reputation for being bullying, and so no, this isn't particularly surprising. I am surprised by the covering up of the nursing home data because, as always, it's not the crime, it's the cover up. What he did with the nursing home is certainly nursing homes, forcing them to take in people even if they have COVID. Was a very questionable decision. But then covering up the data, that's really the kind of thing that gets somebody in trouble.
And based on the fact, now he's said that he unintentionally made women feel uncomfortable. He's apologized for that. It seems like he is trying to move on from it. Do you think this is something that he gets through and survives politically?
Well, I mean, he seems to be doing the Governor Ralph Northam approach. I remember him from Virginia. He had the blackface controversy. And he ignored all the calls for his resignation, and he basically survived. Maybe it's the Donald Trump approach. People thought he should withdraw when he was, after the Access Hollywood video came out, people said he should withdraw, and he ended up being elected president. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it really, having talked to some Democratic members of Congress who are critical of him, but have not called for his resignation, I think it really depends on what the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, finds in her investigation. Because if there is more, or if she comes out and says Governor Cuomo sexually harassed these two women, then that's going to be tough for him. But we'll have to see. I think a lot of people are punting and waiting to see what that investigation entails.
Last thing I want to ask you about, you wrote a political thriller called The Hellfire Club, and now you have a sequel coming out in a couple of months. Has it been nice to have something fictional, albeit one that is inspired by historical events, to sort of find solace in during these trying times?
Yeah, I wrote a lot of it during the pandemic last year when I didn't have a commute because I was broadcasting from my house. So from April to July, I mean, I just didn't have 2 hours in a car every day. Then I suddenly had some time. And yeah, it takes place in 1962. The main characters from the first book, Charlie and Margaret, go and investigate Sinatra and the Rat Pack. They're blackmailed by Attorney General Kennedy. So yeah, that was a lot of fun to just plunge into 1962 Hollywood and Los Angeles and that whole world of Hitchcock and John Frankenheimer and Marilyn Monroe. And that was, yes, to not pay attention to the dystopia that we lived through last summer. That was miserable kids being schooled at home, angry friends and family members, and President Trump doing everything he did. We don't have to go back into that. Yeah, it was nice to spend some time with the Rat Pack.
Well, hopefully we'll get you back in a couple of months to talk about your book when it comes out. Thanks so much for making time for us today, Jake.
Thanks, Seth. Love to Lexi.